My thoughts on why Mason prefers Scott over Kourtney Kardashian and how much everything has changed. Hi, before we continue, please subscribe to the channel for all Kardashians news and update. Mason Disick, the son of Kourtney Kardashian and Scott Disick, seems to be going through a quiet transformation. Fans of the Kardashian family have noticed that he's been spending more time with his father and less time in the public eye, especially when it comes to appearing in posts or events with his mother. While this has raised questions, it's not entirely surprising when you take a closer look at his life and what he may be feeling as a teenager growing up in one of the world's most talked about families. Mason has grown up surrounded by cameras, fame, and family drama. From an early age, he was in the spotlight, but over time, he seems to have chosen privacy. He still shows up in photos with his dad, Scott, but when it comes to Kourtney, he keeps more of a distance. This shift has led people to wonder if he's choosing sides. It seems like Mason is leaning toward spending more of his time with his dad. Understanding why starts with looking at how much things have changed in the Kardashian-Disick household. One of the biggest reasons Mason might prefer to stay with Scott is the arrival of Travis Barker in his life. Kourtney's relationship with Travis changed the dynamic in a big way. Kids want familiarity and comfort. For years, Mason was used to a certain lifestyle, where both his parents were at the center of his world. Even when they weren't together, there was still a sense of balance. That balance was shaken when Travis entered the picture. Scott and Kourtney had a long history together. They were once in love, and despite their ups and downs, they co-parented their children for years. But when Kourtney decided to move on and build a life with Travis, that history took a backseat. Scott clearly struggled with that change. He showed signs of sadness and discomfort after Kourtney fell for Travis, and it's likely that Mason picked up on those emotions. Kourtney's relationship with Travis became intense very quickly. They were often seen publicly showing affection, holding hands, hugging, and kissing. While it's natural for couples in love to express their feelings, this display might have felt overwhelming for a teenager like Mason. He's at an age where parents being overly affectionate in public can be embarrassing, even more so when your mother is a global celebrity and every move is followed by the press. On top of that, Kourtney's new marriage also came with a new family dynamic. Travis has children of his own, and when they all came together, it became a blended family. Not all kids are quick to adapt to such changes. For Mason, this shift might have been hard to accept. He may have missed the old days when it was just his mom and dad. Now, there's a new baby in the mix too, Rocky, Kourtney and Travis's son, which adds to the changes in his life. Mason could be feeling like an outsider in his mother's new world, even if unintentionally. It's also important to understand that Mason is now a teenager. At 14, he is starting to form his own opinions, develop his own identity, and crave more control over his life. He may feel more freedom with Scott, who has always had a laid-back, almost childlike personality. Scott is the type of parent who jokes around, collects luxury cars, and lives a flashy lifestyle. That can be appealing to a teenager looking for independence. Mason might feel more like himself when he's with his dad, without the added pressure of strict rules or a structured household. Kourtney, on the other hand, has a more disciplined style. She's known for setting firm rules about diet, health, and cleanliness in the home. While those values are good for long-term well-being, they might not feel easy to follow for a teenager who wants a little more room to make his own choices. Add to that her recent transformation into a rock-inspired fashion figure alongside Travis, and Mason might feel like he's living in someone else's story when he's at her house. It's possible that he just doesn't relate to that version of his mom anymore. It's not about not loving his mother. Mason clearly loves Kourtney, and she loves him. But love isn't always enough to keep things feeling comfortable, especially when so many changes are happening at once. For Mason, choosing to spend more time with Scott might be about finding a sense of calm and familiarity. When everything around you changes so fast, holding on to something that feels the same can bring peace. Also, let's not forget that Scott might be encouraging Mason to live with him. While Scott loves his children deeply, there's a history of emotional tension between him and Kourtney. It wouldn't be surprising if Scott, even without meaning harm, welcomed the idea of having Mason with him more often. This sort of thing happens in many families after separation or divorce. There's a silent competition, a tug-of-war of sorts, even when both parents love their children. Scott has faced many struggles, including the painful loss of his parents and personal issues like addiction. Despite having wealth and fame, there's a sadness in Scott that never quite fades. Mason, who is growing more aware of the world around him, might see this and feel a deeper need to be there for his dad. It's common for children to feel protective over a parent who seems emotionally vulnerable. Being with Scott might not just be about fun and freedom, it might also be about loyalty and support. Then there's the matter of Travis. Mason might not dislike him, but he may not feel close to him either. And if Mason knows that Scott still has feelings for Kourtney, then being around Travis could feel awkward. That kind of tension, even if unspoken, can make a home environment uncomfortable for a teenager. Mason might feel caught in the middle and decide that it's just easier to be where things are less complicated. The truth is, Mason is still very young, and he's figuring things out as he goes. He's becoming more private, which is completely understandable given how public his life has been since birth. He's choosing to step back from the spotlight, and that's something to respect. In fact, his decision to live more quietly shows maturity. He knows what he needs, and he's not afraid to go after it. What's clear through all of this is that both of Mason's parents love him very much. Kourtney has always been a caring and protective mother, and her love for her children is beyond question. If Mason feels happier and more at ease living with Scott right now, she will support that. That's what good parenting looks like, putting your child's needs ahead of your own. It's not easy, but it's one of the purest forms of love there is. There's always a chance that Mason will choose to spend more time with Kourtney again in the future. These kinds of shifts happen in families, especially as children grow older and their preferences change. For now, the most important thing is that Mason has the freedom to choose, and that he is safe, supported, and loved wherever he is. This chapter in Mason's life is just one part of a bigger story. He's trying to find his own path, and that includes making choices about where he feels most comfortable. With all the attention that surrounds the Kardashian family, it's easy to forget that at the heart of it all are real people with real feelings. Mason isn't a headline, he's a young boy growing up under a microscope. The best thing the world can do for him now is give him space. There's nothing unusual about what Mason is going through. Families everywhere deal with similar changes. The only difference here is the fame and the attention. And while that can make everything more dramatic, the heart of the story remains the same, a teenager finding his place in a world that's always changing. So if Mason finds peace and joy living with Scott right now, then that's the right choice for him. Thanks for watching. Please do well to share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more Kardashian updates.